Hello and welcome to Bismarck Airport Fire Station. My name is Captain Featherston, this is Lieutenant Bauer, and we want to show you today some of the equipment and things that we work with on a day-to-day basis here. We're not the largest fire station that you're going to see in the world, but we do have a very important mission. Our job is to support the local aviation mission that we have here at Bismarck Airport, which means if it has anything to do with the planes or the people flying inside of the planes in and out of this airport, they're our responsibility to make them safe. I got my start as an airport firefighter in the Air Force, and Matt Bauer here actually got his start working with volunteer fires around the area too. Both of us kind of end up in the same place, but we have very similar training. For him, it's more civilian type firefighting that you guys would normally see in town, like the big red trucks, what you think of when you actually think of firefighters. But our stuff is a little bit different because when we deal with aircraft, we usually deal with really hot fires and a lot of fuel. So in order to do that, our trucks are a little bit different. You're going to see it here in just a few moments, but this truck is much larger than what you would actually see in town, and it's also yellow. Our trucks are yellow because we want to be really big, loud, and very visible to any of the aircraft that we have around our airfield. They have very limited windows and they can't see everything that well, so that's the reason why we want to be big, yellow, and very loud, with lots of flashing lights on them too as well. A lot of the equipment that we have, that we carry with us on a day-to-day basis, is a lot similar to what you're actually going to see on those city red trucks that you guys see every single day. For example, we still have our axes, right? Axes are always a really handy tool when we want to get into something that doesn't want us in there, right? So we might also have to sometimes pry our way into something, so we have a Halligan tool like this one here that I can use to get through locks. But on aircraft, they're also covered in very thin aluminum siding that you see on the side of the aircraft, or maybe the engine itself can have a cowling on it with a fire behind it, so we still have to pry our way in there or cut our way in there. And sometimes we have more stubborn cuts if we do have an emergency going on, and that's why we have larger saws, kind of like our K12 right here. This one, while it can be pretty dangerous, we have a lot of specialized training that goes with it for when we're actually cutting into aircraft. You might not think of it, but actually behind the skin of an aircraft there's lots of wires, lots of tubes, lots of things that you don't necessarily want sparks to be flying around in. But if we have the right spot and we know where we're going, this can actually be a very handy tool in order to get people out of an emergency situation. I want to talk a little bit more of my gear before I start showing you some more stuff on the truck. You can see what on a day-to-day we're actually wearing our station uniform, kind of like what Matt's wearing here. It's just a normal professional looking day-to-day attire, but over that we'll put on our fire department gear. You can see that mine is about the same color of what you guys see on normal firefighters in town. So last time you guys have been out here before, you probably saw that we were silver. Well, that's actually changed. We found that we can wear the same turnouts as city firefighters and be just as effective, and also be a little bit safer with flexibility and the ability to swap in and out of these a little bit quicker too as well. So as far as the fires that we deal with, they're actually just as good, but they still keep us safe when we have to go into a really hot environment. I still have my helmet, right? So in case anything falls on my head, I want to keep my noggin protected, right? So I got my helmet. We also wear air packs and a mask because when we're inside of those environments, we want to make sure that we're not breathing all of that nasty air that can actually hurt us. So we always have a mask that fits just right, so that way we can go inside those environments and not inhale that nasty smoke and get hurt that way too. Everyone here at the Bismarck Airport Fire Station is also an EMT, which is an emergency medical technician. Matt Bauer here is actually a paramedic too as well, and we carry big medical kits with us, and inside of it we have everything that we need in order to get someone stable and ready to, if they're having a medical emergency, to just help them feel a little bit better until we can get an ambulance there to help them out moving on to the next step of care, which is one of our hospitals here in town that actually aren't too far away at all. So as far as what we do on day-to-day, emergencies don't happen all the time, like I said, but we do want to be ready when they do happen. This doesn't mean that aviation is necessarily dangerous or that you need to have more there because things happen more often. It is just when they do, we want to make sure that we respond and we're there quick enough to be there to help people out as quick as possible, so that way they can get on with their day and feel safe about it too as well. If you take a look over here, I'm going to show you that we do have a few more examples of equipment that's very similar to the stuff that you would see on big red city fire engines. Look at that, 1.75" hose, the same kind of jacket, same color, with the same nozzle too. This is called a task force tip. It can give us a nice fog pattern if we want to do more of a blanket extinguishment, or it can also work as a shield for us against heat with a big wide fog pattern stream, or it can go real tight into a straight stream where we can apply a lot of water in a very short period of time. So with that, we have all the kind of same stuff that you would typically see, larger nozzles. One thing that is a little bit different is we do have a piercing nozzle. You won't really see these on too many city engines. What a piercing nozzle does is we hook it up to the hose just like any other nozzle, but this is one we can actually use to stab through the side of an aircraft if we know that there is fire on the other end of that thin aluminum siding. So I can hit this with a hammer a couple times, right? And then it's actually penetrated the skin of the aircraft, and the fire can be going on around it in these little holes right here. Then the extinguishing agent can then spray out in a nice pattern on the inside and help get those hidden fires that we can run into in the worst of circumstances.
Okay, everyone, as Captain Featherston previously stated, my name is Lieutenant Matt Bauer. I'm here inside Rescue 14. This is our primary truck. This is going to be there at any emergency on the airport, a little bit faster than the others. It's a big, heavy diesel engine, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this on, and you're going to hear that diesel engine roar a little bit. That was me just turning on the electric. Okay, you can hear that heavy Detroit diesel roar. And over here, on most city fire trucks, they tend to do a lot with hoses. We do have hoses on here, but our primary means is actually with a cannon. So that's reversed from what you see on most city fire engines. These are all my controls to help put out fire. So I'm going to turn on my water. Besides water, we also have foam and dried chemical. And the dried chemical it's a lot like a normal fire extinguisher that you might see on a wall mounted at your school or any other place. So right now I'm just going to turn on water. You hear that pump kick in. Okay, now I'm going to use my joysticks. I'm going to control these cannons. Bumper turret. Now I'm going to use the roof turret. We have two of them. We always have a backup. Now water is coming out of there at over 200 pounds per square inch. So there's a lot of it. About 300 gallons per minute. And this is what we do, is any fires that we do get, it's not often, but it does happen. There we go. Now our imaginary fire is out.
Here at the Bismarck Airport Fire Station, we're also part of a much larger team that every single day is all around town responding to emergency incidences, keeping people safe, and a lot of different agencies that actually work jointly together. So aside from us, there's still Bismarck City Fire Department, we have Bismarck City Police, we have the Burley Sheriff, Morton Sheriff, we have rural fire stations, we have metro area ambulance, we have the 2 hospitals, and all these different unique teams all work together as one big cohesive unit. So that way, if there's something that we need assistance with, which we actually call mutual aid in the fire world. So if I have for example, a plane crash or even a large grass fire, we do have large grasslands here, and for example, if one actually caught on fire, say someone threw something out their window that lit some grass on fire, we can't necessarily extinguish that all on our own. So we might call in secondary fire stations like rural fire or the Bismarck City fire units, and we can actually then get behind it, and they would help put all this out. So all day long, we can actually hear on the radios all those units working together as one cohesive unit inside town, responding to different emergencies that we actually have. So we're just one part of a much larger puzzle, and it's very important that we can all maintain communication, be trained in similar ways, use the same kind of words that other agencies around us use as well. So that's also a lot to do with the training that we actually get in order to become an airport firefighter, is the ability to actually work inside that team and be effective inside of that team. That also goes with the aviation side too. We have to be trained on the different types of aircraft, what's new, what's coming up with changes inside of aircraft, what might we run into on the horizon, and especially with last year and this year, different problems that people might encounter while they're inside their aircraft that we never really seen before. We got to stay ahead of these different trends, so that way we need to maintain that edge. So airport firefighters, city firefighters, actually most emergency response personnel, we train all the time. That really is our primary job, is just to stay on top of any changes that might actually happen, so that way we can be the most effective response agency, so that way you guys can feel safe when you come here to Bismarck Airport. That really is all that I have for you today. I want to thank you guys for coming out and checking out our little fire station that we have on the airport here. And you're more than welcome to come visit us as soon as we have an opportunity to. All right, fly safe.